When the Johnson family brought home their new German Shepherd, they were nervous but excited. Their little daughter Emily had been waiting all day to meet him. Finally, the moment came. She stretched out her tiny hands, smiling with pure innocence. But instead of wagging his tail, the dog froze, his eyes locked on her, his body stiff. And then he lunged forward. The family gasped in terror, convinced their new pet was dangerous. But seconds later, the shocking truth behind his reaction would leave them speechless. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The Johnson home buzzed with excitement. For weeks, the family had talked about adopting a dog, and today, the moment. Finally arrived. A sleek German Shepherd stepped through the door. His leash held firmly in Mr. Johnson's hand. His eyes scanned the room with sharp curiosity, every step measured and cautious. The parents exchanged smiles, though beneath their excitement was a hint of worry. A new dog always carried uncertainty, especially one as large and powerful as a shepherd. Would he adjust well? Would he accept their young daughter, Emily, who had been bouncing with joy since morning? Emily, barely 3 years old, clapped her hands in delight when she saw him. "Puppy," she squealed, running forward before her mother gently held her back. "Easy, sweetheart," Mrs. Johnson cautioned. "Let him get comfortable first." Still, Emily's wide eyes never left the dog's towering frame. The shepherd sniffed the air, his ears twitching as he observed the little girl from across the room. His tail gave a single uncertain wag, then stilled again. The room seemed to hold its breath as Emily crouched down, her tiny arms opening wide in a gesture of innocent trust. The first meeting was about to begin. The German Shepherd stood tall, his dark eyes fixed on Emily as she shuffled closer. Every small step she took made the family hold their breath. Mr. Johnson tightened his grip on the leash, prepared for anything. The dog's ears twitched forward, his gaze unblinking as though he were trying to read the little girl's intentions. Emily paused a few feet away, her face glowing with curiosity. She tilted her head, studying the dog the way children study something both strange and fascinating. Then slowly, she stretched out her hands, tiny fingers spread wide in an open invitation. "Come here, puppy," she whispered. The shepherd's body stiffened, his tail lowered, his chest expanding as a low rumble built in his throat. The sound wasn't loud, but it was enough to make Mrs. Johnson gasp. "Pull him back," she urged, fear flickering in her voice. But Mr. Johnson hesitated, sensing the moment was delicate. Emily didn't flinch. Her small frame wobbled as she crouched even lower, hands still extended. Her innocence seemed to disarm the tension in the air. For a heartbeat, the dog didn't move at all. Then his head tilted, his sharp gaze narrowing, as though deciding whether to accept her silent invitation. The entire family leaned forward, hearts pounding, waiting to see what he would do. For a tense moment, the room was frozen. Emily's hands remained outstretched, her little eyes wide with trust. The German Shepherd lowered his head slowly, his nose twitching as he sniffed the air between them. The soft growl in his throat deepened. Johnson clutched her husband's arm. "This isn't safe," she whispered urgently. But before Mr. Johnson could pull him back, the shepherd lunged forward. Emily squealed, not in fear, but in surprise, as the massive dog closed the gap in a heartbeat. Gasps erupted as the parents rushed forward. Certain disaster had struck. Instead, the shepherd did something no one expected. He pressed his nose firmly against Emily's tiny hands, then lowered himself onto the grass. Lying down flat, as if bowing before her, his sharp eyes softened, his tail thumping gently against the floor. Emily giggled with delight, her fingers brushing through his thick fur. The family stood frozen, stunned by the sudden shift. "What just happened?" Mrs. Johnson murmured, her voice trembling with relief and disbelief. Mr. Johnson exhaled, loosening his grip on the leash, his heart still hammering. Emily clapped her hands, wrapping her arms around the shepherd's neck. And for the first time, the dog licked her cheek, sealing a bond that had shocked everyone watching. The Johnsons were speechless. 1 second, their new dog had lunged at their daughter, and the next, he lay flat on the grass at her feet. Relief battled with fear, leaving them unsure what to believe. "That was too close," Mrs. Johnson whispered, her arms shaking as she instinctively reached for Emily. But when she tried to pull the girl back, the shepherd suddenly rose again, his posture tense, his gaze darting past Emily's shoulder. A sharp bark exploded from his throat, so loud and sudden that everyone jumped. Emily froze, clutching her teddy, while the dog moved swiftly, circling her protectively. Mr. Johnson stepped forward, panic in his voice. "He's unpredictable. We can't risk this." His hand tightened on the leash, but no matter how hard he pulled, the shepherd refused to move. His body was stiff, his teeth bared, his eyes locked on something, none of them. "Why is he acting like that?" Mrs. Johnson cried. Her pulse raced as the dog positioned himself between Emily and the far side of the yard. His ears pricked, his muscles coiled, every movement screaming alertness. The family's fear grew heavier with every second. They had adopted this dog only hours earlier, and already he was acting in ways they couldn't explain. But what they didn't realize was that his strange behavior wasn't aggression. It was a warning. The shepherd's bark grew sharper, echoing through the yard like an alarm bell. His teeth flashed, his body rigid as he stared at the thick hedges near the fence. Emily clung to her teddy, her small face puzzled rather than frightened. The adults, however, felt a chill run down their spines. Something was out there. Mr. Johnson squinted into the shadows. At first, he saw nothing, but then the leaves rustled and a dark shape slithered into view. His heart dropped. A snake, long and menacing. Coiled itself slowly across the grass, its head raised as it hissed toward the family. Mrs. Johnson gasped, pulling Emily back. But before she could move further, the German shepherd sprang into action. With lightning speed, he lunged forward, planting himself between the snake and the little girl. His growls deepened into a roar of warning, his body shielding Emily completely. The snake recoiled at his fierce presence, retreating toward the bushes. But the shepherd didn't move until it had vanished completely. His chest heaved, his eyes still blazing with vigilance. Silence followed, broken only by Emily's soft voice. "He saved me." She buried her face against the shepherd's fur, hugging him tightly. The family finally understood. What had seemed shocking and frightening at first was actually the clearest proof of loyalty. Their new dog had been protecting their daughter from danger all along. For a long moment, no one spoke. The adrenaline still surged in they. But the truth was undeniable. The German Shepherd had just saved Emily's life. Mrs. Johnson's eyes filled with tears as she knelt beside her daughter, pulling her close. "He wasn't attacking," she whispered softly, almost in disbelief. "He was protecting her." The shepherd sat tall, his ears still perked, watching the yard for any sign of danger. His chest rose and fell heavily, but his gaze softened the moment Emily pressed her face into his fur. He gave a gentle lick to her cheek, sealing the bond that had begun only